Well, good morning, everybody. Are you ready for some turkey? It's a Monday of Thanksgiving week 2012. This is the Dog H. Weber with you, live in the studio here at Finger Lakes One. Our offices are located in downtown Seneca Falls, and we bid you a very pleasant good morning. Hey, hope you had a great weekend. The weather wasn't too bad. The weather's supposed to be real good until maybe the weekend. They're talking about a possible snow shower on the weekend. But then again, next week, they're looking at 45 to 50 degrees next week. So could we have a winter like last year where we had absolutely no snow hardly at all? So I know I get people upset because they like to do cross-country skiing and they like downhill skiing. They like tobogganing. They like sledding. And I really alienate my so-called friends when I tell them I could care less. I don't care if we have green grass until next March. Well, good morning, everybody. I got to start my show by saying, of course, Jimmy Senecrope, the owner of FingerLakes1.com, a big day for him and his wife, Kathleen, as their daughter turns 7 today. Jackie Senecrope, first grader, turns the big 7 mark. Of course, the name synonymous with great baseball, Mickey Mantle. So, Jackie, if you're checking out the dog this morning, we send out a special happy birthday to you. I understand you're going to have some lunch with your dad today, and it's a special moment. So, happy birthday goes out to Jackie Senecrope today from Weber on Sports. Well, I hold up the sign because the dog has done it again, and that says, if you can read it, Marrone Coach of the Year. You know, I always have told you on this show, every time I pick on somebody or try to run them in the ground, it usually works just the opposite. If I call you a loser, no doubt you will stop at Burn Dairy and buy a $5 scratch-off ticket and be a winner of some $200,000. It's just the way I do things. What I say, usually opposites happen. So give Syracuse football team credit. You know, I'm not going to go through the long laundry list of why I'm not a Marrone fan. That's my personal view, but it's hard not to give him credit. You know, they had an exceptional win against Louisville at home, and then they went on the road trailing 14-3, a game that I watched while I was having dinner at a nearby restaurant on Saturday night. They trailed 14-3. The game looked like it was going to be a blowout, but hold on. Syracuse comes back, ties it up. Then they trail by 3 in the waning minutes of the game, and Naismith brings them downfield. They score 31-27. Final, Syracuse now bowl eligible with 6 wins. And, of course, now they play Shirley Temple next week. And, of course, that will be another W, even though it makes very little difference as far as bowl appearances because now they're assured of going somewhere. Jim was mentioning there's speculation early on that it might be a West Virginia-Syracuse pinstripe battle. West Virginia, the Mountaineers, what has happened to that program? I think they started off this year with 4 or 5 impressive victories. Geno Smith was looking like, Tom Brady, game in and game out. Now they can't win a game. It's amazing how their fortunes have turned in the wacky world of college football. But there you go, folks. All you SU fans, the dog is eating crow as I hold up a sign. Marrone probably will win the national championship next year. Just let the web dog continue to pick on your school, and you'll do fine. Well, how about doing fine? Did you ever think in the wildest dreams, with Kansas State ranked number 1 in the BCS, and Oregon, that juggernaut offensive marvelous team playing Stanford at home, would lose on the same night? Let's talk about K-State. They played Baylor in Baylor. Baylor is the same college football team that gave Geno Smith in West Virginia 70 points. They gave up 70 points to West Virginia earlier in the year. Who in their right mind would have ever thought that Baylor could stay with Kansas State? They not only stayed with Kansas State, they demolished them, beating them by, I think, 24 points. What? So goodbye, Oregon State. They dropped like a lead balloon. I think they're 8th now in the BCS. They're gone. See ya. Then I was flipping back and forth when I got home from dinner, and I thought, my God, Stanford, a 21-point underdog at Oregon, was hanging tough. And you never would have thought that. But all of a sudden, Stanford pulls it out at the end. They found a way to shut down their tremendous speed with their running backs and their end game and their passing game. Amazing. I had to pinch myself 12 times on the couch watching that game because I couldn't believe what I was seeing with my one good eye. But credit Stanford with a sensational performance, knocking Oregon out of the unbeaten ranks. So where are we right now? Well, you know where we are, don't you? We're at the luck of the Irish. We talked about Notre Dame. Could they possibly do this? Now they have their future in their own hands. A little Irish fight song. All you Irish fans, get pumped. Touchdown Jesus is looking down on you. And Touchdown Jesus is not looking down on you. He screwed up Barkley's shoulder, and Barkley, the All-American quarterback for USC in their game this coming weekend, is out. So Notre Dame will travel to Southern Cal and take on the Trojans minus one of the best quarterbacks in the country, as Barkley will not play against the Irish. It's a simple scenario. If Notre Dame wins, they will play in the national championship. If they lose, however, you got to throw up your hand in despair, because nobody knows what would happen in the case of a Notre Dame loss. But Notre Dame wins, whether it be by 1 or by 100, against Southern Cal, who's playing without their all-star, all-American quarterback, Barkley. Have a great opportunity to go in there and win this game and set their reservation for the national championship. Who would have ever thought this could happen? The way it happened. The crazy world of college football as the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. I know a lot of people love them or hate them. Believe me, there's two different views on Notre Dame, and since I've followed Notre Dame, I used to go out there with friends of mine for like 7 or 8 years. We took an RV. We had a lot of laughs. That's when Lou Holtz was there. That's how many years ago I'm talking about. But there's something about Notre Dame. You mentioned that name, and yeah, I love that team or I hate that team. It's love or it's hate. It's never anything in the middle. So bottom line is, if you want to watch a great college game, Southern Cal at home against Notre Dame. Notre Dame, of course, will have everything to play for. Southern Cal will be without their great quarterback in Barkley. Let's see how it all turns out. Well, Hobart, Statesman, what's up with Hobart, huh? Hobart just breezing through this year. Can you say a 0? That 0 indicates losses. None for Hobart, as they stomped on poor Washington and Lee this past weekend up at Boswell in Geneva. Again, we just cannot say enough good things about the Statesman. What a marvelous year. A year for a zillion years at Hobart. A year that will never be forgotten. Unbelievable, great play by the Hobart Statesman. So from Weber on Sports, keep it trucking up there. You guys are playing fabulous football. You know, I kind of have a different view on most everything, as you all probably already know. But I was thinking about something, and I get dangerous when I start thinking, folks. You know, there was this big controversy or discussion about who was going to get the MVP in the American League. Mike Trout, the phenomenal player for the Angels, or Miguel Cabrera, the outstanding player for the Detroit Tigers. Now, I don't know. I look at things much different. Cabrera won the Triple Crown. Hadn't happened in what? 45, 47 years. The last guy to do it was the Yaz man, Carl Yastrzemski, for the Boston Red Sox. And in my little demented mind, I'm thinking, well, this guy just won the Triple Crown. How often does that happen? Not very often. What, one every 30, 40 years? It's not easy to win the Triple Crown. And I'm thinking, the Tigers went to the World Series. They got demolished by the San Francisco Giants. We all know that. But I'm thinking, if I'm a voter, there's 28 people that cast ballots on the MVP, the Baseball Writers of America. I'm thinking, if I'm one of those writers and casting my ballot, why would I not select Miguel Cabrera and give him my first place vote? He won the Triple Crown. How valuable does a guy have to be? And don't get me wrong. I take nothing away from the sensational Mike Trout year. He's going to win some MVPs in his illustrious career down the road. Well, I kept hearing all these people saying, oh, it's going to be close. It's going to be close. Trout could win it. It's going to be close. Well, they cast their ballots, 28 of them. Cabrera got 22 first place out of 28. It was a landslide, just like the dog had thought it would be. So, yes, I am right once in a while. So, Cabrera, what an outstanding year. Can you imagine when he retires from baseball and he's around with his grandkids and they're having a family dinner and one of the grandchildren, maybe 15 at that point, as we look down the road and saying, hey, Papa, in 2012, you had a great year. Yeah. How'd you do? Well, I won the Triple Crown. What? And I won the MVP. That, folks, is something that will be hard to duplicate. So let's move on to the world of Katie Burgess out of Waterloo. Sienna, here I come. Outstanding lacrosse player from Waterloo, just a couple of miles down the road. Katie Burgess. She signs a letter of intent to play lacrosse for Sienna College. Way to go, Katie. From Jim, myself, and everybody connected to FingerLakes1.com Sports, congratulations on making that decision. I know you will do Sienna very proud. Well, we finally have a NASCAR championship. Winner, and the gentleman's name is Mr. Brad Keselowski. As he finishes 15th at Homestead yesterday, Jimmy Johnson had all kinds of problems. Never really a factor. Early on he was, but had car problems. It was over. It was in the garage for like 45 laps. See ya. Adios. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, Jimmy Johnson. Keselowski winning. Young kid, 28-year-old for the Penske team. Outstanding performance. Give credit where credit is due. Brad Keselowski, winner of the outstanding NASCAR championship. I guess the only thing I would say about Brad Keselowski is that I noticed that in his post-race interview when they were in Phoenix, that was last week before Homestead, that was the classic Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon smackdown when the crews got involved in a melee. Jeff Gordon, the pretty boy face, got slammed around the lips a little bit, maybe a little bit of a scar on his face, not a big one. And it was between Boyer and Jeff Gordon. And Keselowski was interviewed afterwards, and I was not impressed. He went on an F-bomb rage. I think you all know what F-bombs are. He went ballistic, using swear words like every other word. He would start his interview by saying, da-da-da-da, beep, da-da-da-da, beep, 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 beep. ESPN was beeping about 3/4 of his speech. My point is the kid's 28. He just got his Winston Cup championship and the ring and all the money and all the glory that goes with winning. But, you know, if you're a young fan or a middle-aged fan or an elderly fan like me, you don't want to hear that potty mouth. You don't want to hear him ripping F-bombs when, in fact, he wasn't involved in the skirmish in the first place. You know, be cool. You know, thinking of Dale Earnhardt Jr., Jeff Gordon, and Jimmy Johnson, for the most part, when they do interviews, win or lose, they're cool under fire. They don't swear. They don't act like idiots. And Keselowski acted like an idiot in that post-race interview to me. And I'm thinking, how many other millions of people had the same attitude? So, you know, who am I to say to Brad Keselowski, lighten it up, clean up, get some soap in your mouth. But it's kind of a shameful thing that this kid just went ballistic and used a lot of swear words in his interview, which, by the way, ESPN recorded but didn't play back because they were beeping it out. Well, Danica update, just for you fans that follow Danica in the Nationwide Series, she finished a respectable 13th. Of course, she will go full-time next year in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series. And, of course, she's excited about her opportunity in 2013, and we'll look forward to tracking her progress as I do every week on this show. Well, let's take a break here on a good old Monday. It's Turkey Week 2012. You know, great sponsors make this show possible. Let's check out and see who they are. And please support these fine people that make Weber on Sports a reality. We'll be back. Welcome back on a Monday, Turkey Week 2012. Thanks to our great sponsors to make this show, and I want to send out a happy holiday season and happy Thanksgiving to all of our great sponsors that make Weber on Sports a reality here on FingerLakes1.com, and we hope that you support them as well. Say it ain't so, Elmo. Are you kidding me? Last week I went into a commentary about Bernie Fine. You know, all of us, not all of us, but most people, when he was accused of sexual molestation of those two boys down in Syracuse for years and years and years, as you all know, unless you just came underneath a rock, that the federal government has dropped all charges against Bernie Fine, claiming that they could not find credible evidence to secure an indictment against Fine. You would assume that the feds have investigated and have dropped all charges. You would speculate that that the county down there in Syracuse, Onondaga County, and the state of New York who are investigating Bernie Fine would likewise sooner or later, and I understand the university is investigating Bernie. My whole point is I think with the feds dropping their charges, he'll get a clean slate eventually. But as we all know, and I talked about this, he'll never get his name back. He'll never get his face back. He'll never get his integrity back. He'll never get his character back because everybody who sees this guy in a laundromat or a bank or a hotel or a used car dealership or a restaurant will forever look at this guy in booth number 3 thinking, tell me you wouldn't do that. Did he really do that? And that's my whole point about our justice system in this country. I railed about this last week, and I continue to rail about it because it affected somebody else this past week. Are you kidding me? Elmo, my man Elmo. I mean, how many parents out there are checking out the dog that have sat with their kids and watched Elmo? Well, the dog had. Growing up with Samantha, our daughter, when she was little, we used to sit on a couch during the week before she went to school, and we would watch Elmo. When she went to school, on the weekends, where do you think I would be sitting? On the couch watching Elmo. Come on. And the dog, as I get ready for 68 years of birth in April 29th of next year, I watch Elmo. Come on. Elmo being accused, of course, of having sexual misconduct with his partner, which, by the way, the partner has recanted. But what did that do to Elmo nationwide? Come on, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing sacred? Now we're taking shots at Elmo. I grew up watching Elmo with my daughter. I grew up watching Elmo with my granddaughter, Izzy, and I watch Elmo as a matter of fact. And I was pretty upset knowing that they're even taking shots at my man, Elmo. And speaking of being down today, I don't know how Jim feels. I know Jim, when I travel with him to sporting events, Jim has, Senecrope this is, has the ability to go in more drive-thrus than anyone I've ever been in my life. Every time I go with Jim's car, we go through drive-thrus. We go to Dunkin' Donuts. We go to McDonald's. He's driving through. But, you know, how about Hostess Twinkies? We haven't talked about that. Are you serious? Hostess Twinkies is a staple of life, and I know they're not good for you. Hope my cardiologist is not watching today's show, or Dr. Chen. But I love Hostess Twinkies. I don't eat them every day. But once in a while, I used to stop and get a Hostess Twinkie. Now they're going bankrupt, from what I understand. And it could be the end of a national pastime, the Hostess Twinkies. I would hope somebody with a lot of money like Donald Trump could save that franchise, because a life without not getting Hostess Twinkies, to me, is a boring life. Let's talk about the NFL. No. The New York Jets are not going to go to the Super Bowl. Hold your horses. I know they won on the road yesterday, but they beat up on Scott Trickler's worthless Rams. I don't know why they keep playing Bradford at quarterback. Give me a break. The Jets are a mediocre team with a small M, okay? So don't get excited, all you Jets fans. Not going to happen. They're still a lousy football team. They just beat a lousier team yesterday. Elsewhere, how about the teacher telling the pupil, come up here, let me show you how this works. Tom Brady taking Andrew Luck to school yesterday and just buried him like 35 points or some freaking ridiculous margin. And what's going on with that special teams coach of the New England Patriots? You're leading by 35 points. Gronkowski, one of the best tight ends in the NFL. One of the best top 1 or 2 in anyone's poll. The Gronk went out there with a couple of minutes to play, leading by 30 on the extra point team. They should have had the fourth team in there, the kid from the fourth team in there playing that position. Put Gronk on the bench. Give him a Gatorade. Are you serious? What is the Patriots thinking about putting the Gronk out there with, a few minutes to go? You're leading by 30 points? Guess what? He broke his forearm. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. He's one of the best tight ends in the NFL, if not the best. Somebody's going to get their butt chewed out, and rightly so today. Oh, my Raiders, folks. I've been a Raiders fan forever. Forever. I go back to the Howie Long days. I even had a couple of Raider jerseys I used to wear proudly. Now you notice I don't wear it on this show. I am embarrassed. My Raiders are just not disciplined. They're not very good. They paid a lot of money to bring Carson Palmer in there a couple years ago. He's done zippo. I'm embarrassed to tell you, my Raiders suck and rhyme with a truck. What else we got to talk about? How long is Norv Turner as the Chargers lose again to the Broncos led by the sensational, yeah, he's washed up. Yeah, sure is, Peyton Manning. How long is Norv Turner going to stay as head coach? He must have film on the owner. He has got to have film on the owner. Like a David Petraeus. Got to have film. Got to have something on that guy. Because there's no way you don't kick him down the street like a garbage can. This guy has underachieved with that franchise the last few years. It is consistently he loses the teams he's not supposed to lose to. I'm not saying he shouldn't have lost yesterday, but they lose to teams you're not supposed to lose to consistently. I'd have booted his butt out years ago. Speaking of getting kicked out from coaching, how about Andy Reid of Philadelphia? Are they going to wait till he loses 15 in a row? What's it, 6 in a row now he's lost? When he must have film, too, on the Eagles owner. Because that's the only reason I can think Andy Reid is still with that organization. Enough already. I mean, come on, folks. Let's give out some pink slips. Kick these people down the street. How about the Tennessee college football coach? 0-7 in the SEC, gone. They announced that yesterday. See ya. Tennessee's not that good, but they have pride. They have a tradition down in Tennessee. If you don't win, you don't coach. Adios, amigo. So my bottom line is these NFL coaches that cling on to their jobs, you wonder why these owners don't fire them. And they got to be having David Petraeus film on them. They got to have something. Hey, by the way, speaking of NFL, something weird happened yesterday that I found quite interesting. Maybe you already know this stat. In the Atlanta Falcon comeback yesterday, the Falcons come back and beat the Arizona Cardinals. Okay, Matt Ryan had a lousy day. Matt Ryan had 5. Una, dua, tre, quacha, chingua. 5 interceptions. No touchdown passes in the win against Arizona. 5 interceptions. Why is that significant, you say? The last time an NFL coach had 5 interceptions and no touchdown passes, you got to go back to 1967, 45 years ago. Is that right? 77, 87, 97. Yeah. 45 years ago, the last time that happened, Bart Starr of the Green Bay Packers. 5 INTs, and you still win the game. Well, let's talk about the Cy Young Awards. I was sort of caught up in hoping that R.A. Dickey would get it from the Mets, and he did. First knuckleballer, by the way, ever to get the Cy Young Award. And, of course, David Price, the outstanding pitcher for the Tampa Ray Club down in Florida, he won for the American League. Twist of irony, that is, both David Price and R.A. Dickey are from Tennessee. And, by the way, both Cy Young Award winners live 30 miles apart. Put that in your coffee and mix it. Talk about a home job, huh? A couple of Tennessee cats. And, you know, speaking of R.A. Dickey and David Wright, as I bring David Wright into the conversation of the Mets, the all-star third baseman, it'll be interesting to see if they re-sign with the Mets. The Mets, you know, to me, I always like picking on them because they are just like the bad news bears of baseball. If I was R.A. Dickey, if I was David Wright, I would not return and sign a long-term contract with the Mets because, to me, the Mets find a way to screw it up. And I know about the amazing Mets and Tom Seaver, but my God, that was icons. That was years and years and years ago. I would put myself in the free agent market and go for the Bucks. I would not re-sign for the New York Mets. Let's see what happens as the months continue to see what happens to R.A. Dickey and David Wright. Well, NBA, holy Knicks, are you kidding me? The Knicks look great, playing great basketball. Lost 1 game so far. They look good. My point is when Stoudemire comes back, that all-star Stoudemire, he could screw up the chemistry. It'll be interesting to see what the Knicks coaching staff does with Stoudemire when he's able to play again. Will they play him off the bench as a 6th man? because if they put him in the starting five, it could screw up the success the Knicks have had. And to the NBA, by the way, the NBA flourishes when a team in the East like the Knicks are playing great, and, of course, the Lakers are playing well right now under their new coach, D'Antoni. We'll have to check that out and see what happens. And, oh, by the way, I am thrilled to see that talks have broken off in the National Hockey League. As you know, they've been locked out, and a strike has ensued the last several months. I told you way back when on this very same show that I would hope and pray that the lights would stay out forever. Forever. Don't settle the strike. Play hardball. As I told you before, NHL players have talent. They can go overseas and play. Yes, they won't make the millions and millions of dollars that they make in the NHL. I agree with that. But when you have millions and millions of dollars in your bank account, what's another few million? My point is, the owners are trying to screw the players again. They want the players to give them more of the cut of the pie. Enough is enough. So in my view, being a sports guy, I hope and pray that the lights stay out until the owners give in. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you've enjoyed the show. This is a holiday week. We hope that you drive carefully if you're going to Grandma's house, and be careful on the roads, but enjoy your great, great Thanksgiving Day. And by the way, just so you know, next Monday we will be doing this show late afternoonish, so you won't be able to tune it down at 9:30 because the dog will be, believe it or not, working the throughway. So again, our show next week will be aired live around 4:30 or so, give or take a few minutes, next Monday the 26th. Until then, from the Weber family to your family, we wish you a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Take care, everybody. That's a look at sports my way.